in their state. You noted fluoride being in the water. Especially into that.
Just realized I was muted. Sorry, bear with me 1 minute. Apparently we've had some technical difficulties with the email that normally goes out. So bear with us just a second and we will see what is up with that.
I sent a text.
Has he gotten back to you? Of
Not yet.
course not.
It says delivered.
I just texted some people who usually join. Let me message.
Yeah. I wonder if Jose would know how to do it.
I just worry that we're getting to be a little bit too late.
Yeah. But if we could get Jose, let me see if I can get Jose.
Oh no. Um, I just sent it to um email Peter.
Okay, I just sent Jose a text.
Okay, I just sent a couple of people who I know their email addresses an
Right.
email to invite them to join. Andrew Ong just emailed me right now that he didn't get the link.
Yeah, well, what a surprise. Yeah. Okay. My fault. I need to take on the responsibility of being more aware, earlier in case this happens again. And one of us needs to get the access to do it. So we have a
Yep.
backup.
Um, Andrew is joining us. Okay, so my apologies for the delay. Apparently we had some technical difficulties in getting the invite out this morning. So we are running a little bit behind. I've just emailed a few people. Thank you, Andrew, for being so on top of it and joining us the second I sent you an email. I'll give it maybe one more minute before we get started to see if any of the people that I emailed jump in, and otherwise I am just going to apologize for the confusion, and whoever wants it can have the recording. But I really would like to give some good value today, per usual. So yeah, I'm just going to give it another second because this actually segues perfectly into the first thing I wanted to say today. So we'll just give it like another 30 seconds. Just trying to fill time. Yes. So while we're waiting for anybody, does anybody have any questions? Okay. So I've sent the link out to a few people that I know are always on. So we'll see if people join. If not, I can give them the recording after the fact. But I would like to give some good nuggets today. So first things first. So this is a perfect example, guys, of you got to roll with the punches, and not everything always goes perfectly. So perfect example, I was expecting that a link would be sent out, as it always is, and it you know, things happen when you're dealing with technology, and you got to just figure it out as you go along. And at the same time, you need to not let that fluster you. Because when you are flustered, you start to make careless mistakes, and it comes across as you being nervous and unprepared, and clients will pick up on that vibe. And I mean, case in point, there are a couple things that happened to me today that I would like to share with you guys. That I'm not perfect either. It does happen to me too. Case in point, I was running behind today. Just a series of things took significantly longer than they should have. And I was running behind. So I ran downstairs to get myself a protein shake. And Jose is calling me. Jose is apparently going to email the link. My apologies. So I ran downstairs to get myself a protein shake, and you have to log in when you go down. And I could not figure out why the same phone number that I use, 2-3 times a week didn't work. I was rushing so quickly that the phone number that I've had for the last 25 years, I skipped a number and didn't even see it. So when you're going through something with a client and you are rushing because now you feel like you're behind the time, it's easy to make a careless mistake, like missing out a number and changing the full picture of what you're showing them. And when it's something like your own phone number, it's easy for you to go back and see that error. But when it's something like somebody else's financial information that they have given you, you're not going to see that error nearly as quickly. So it's very important to take a step back sometimes when you feel rushed. When you feel like, oh my God, the pressure is on, I need to do this right. Just take a second and breathe and go at it with full confidence that you know what you're doing, which brings me to the second thing that happened to me today. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that personally, I like SILAC annuity products. And I was trying to show a different colleague of mine a build for a client. And I went through the whole presentation using SILAC products. Well, this colleague asked me, well, what about such and such product? I'm not going to say who the competition is because I don't want to speak negatively about a good product. And in states that Silac products are not available, this is a very viable option. But I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that Silac would be the best option for this particular client. But this colleague of mine wanted to see other options. So knowing your product and not only knowing that you are right, but knowing why you're right is very important, and constantly trying to prove yourself wrong to, in essence, prove yourself right. So I ran a couple extra illustrations on a product that I knew was not going to look as good, just to prove that I am in fact right. Well, I ran the illustrations and I'm looking at the numbers going, oh my God, I'm wrong. Why am I wrong? How is this wrong? And it just hits you in the face. Like, I can't be wrong. I know this inside and out. Why does this look better? So know your product, guys. Know why you're right, and have all of your ducks in a row when you're making a presentation of, yeah, but. If there could possibly be a yeah, but, you need to have an answer for it. So yes, on the surface, this other product looked better. Yeah, but I happen to know that Silac has a very, very stable history with participation rates. Whereas I actually called the other company for service because for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why I was right. I knew I was right, but I could not figure out why. And even their salespeople, their sales support people told me, okay, yeah, it looks really good right now, but it's a 250% par rate. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's a participation rate. It's a 250% par rate. When the economy corrects and the index corrects, that's likely going to drop down significantly. So go to this page and see what the more likely outcome is for the next 10 years. So apples to apples, I compared those two columns on both illustrations to prove that, yes, I am in fact right in my recommendation. So it's not just good enough to know that you're right. You have to know why you're right, because somebody is always going to say to you, yeah, but I want more diversification. Yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but there's always going to be another yeah, but. So you need to have in your wheelhouse an explanation. So, and this is why role play is so important. Go through your, especially if it's something that you're newish with, go through it and have a partner play the devil's advocate. Have a friend, have a someone you work with, have your spouse, your neighbor, whomever, a close, somebody passing on the street, just take a look at it and give you rebuttal. Have them be harsh so that when you're actually sitting down with that client, and by the way, guys, if you're showing them actual illustrations, make sure that you have redacted any names or identifying information just to cover yourself, because you can't legally share that. But make sure that you have all of the answers, because somebody will come up with a question that you haven't thought about. So any questions, comments, concerns on anything that I have said thus far? Sorry, people were just asking me for the link, so I wanted to allow people to join us if they are able to. So, okay, great. So what I had originally wanted to talk about today, because last week we talked about the first meeting with a client. So I had pulled it up. Where did I put it? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Okay. Can everybody see the build that we did last week? Yes, no, maybe? Did I share the right screen? Am I alone in the room? Okay, let me. Awesome. Thank you. So yes, so this is the build that we put together last week. So when we're sitting down with a client for a second meeting, this is where we're going to start. And we're just going to ask them if they have any questions, comments, concerns about being able to do this, the plan that they built. And how does it make you feel that you now have a plan to put your kids through college and still be able to retire? People are going to tell you that, yeah, they feel pretty good about it. Or maybe they're going to talk to you about, well, you know, we're not really comfortable refinancing the house. What if we do this? What if we do that? I don't want to do this. This is a great opportunity for you to address those rebuttals. And it's very possible that you are going to go into client profile, this section here. So you come to client profile, you go to scenarios, and this is the default. This is the one that we've already created, and you duplicate it. Are you sure you want to duplicate the scenario? Yes. So now you're going to edit scenarios, and you can name this whatever you want. Personally, if, for example, if they want to see it with a refinance and without a refinance, we're just going to call the second scenario, you know, with refinance, so we know what we've changed. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, maybe. Awesome. Okay, so we don't really need to do that in this particular example, but so we're going to go back to clients, life plan, step 4. So for this example, we haven't changed anything, but that is a great way to go through it to see how this is going to play out in multiple scenarios. And, you know, let's say that we did refinance this house, which I don't think we did, but let's say we did, you know, if they owe $410, we refinanced it for $410, when can they actually pay off the house? We can come over here and say in 2034, you can just pay it off. You still have another 20 years on your current mortgage, but if you refinanced it today in 2034, which is what, 12 years from now, 11 and a half years from now, you literally have the cash in the bank to just pay it off if you wanted to. And, you know, you don't need to decide right this minute whether or not that's a good idea. We can talk about the ramifications of that at a different point, because you need to decide how you're, like, we've just, you know, thrown some numbers at a wall to see what sticks. But you've built this plan. Now we need to figure out where we're going to put it. Okay. So we haven't talked about any financial vehicles at all yet, right? And they're going to say, right. It's a little difficult to role play by myself, but we can make it work. So now we're going to go to next. Okay. Great. So mom and dad, or Mr. and Mrs. Client, or if you're on a first name basis with these guys, great. We're going to build what we like to call the stress test to see where you want to put your bank. So, you know, we know that we've got kids going to college, so we want that wherever we're putting this money to be FAFSA free, so that the federal aid formula can't penalize you for it, right? Right. So we'll add that. And we talked about your 401ks and how they have penalties, and, you know, that they're locked up until you're 59 and a half. So would something that doesn't have penalties that you can use your money when you need it be beneficial to you? And they're going to say yes. Okay, great. So we also talked about the 401ks in that they're not liquid. You can't access it just whenever you want. And a couple of your other assets are locked up, like the equity in your house is currently locked up because you would need to refinance to get access to that equity. So would something that is liquid, meaning that you can access it within 72 hours, be beneficial to you? Awesome. So we'll add liquid to this list. And we've also talked about a lot of your assets, your 401k, your IRA, even your savings account, honestly, and how they are taxable. And we talked about that you feel that taxes, you said that you feel that taxes are going to go up in the future, correct? Let them answer. And so would something, and you're not really sure what that tax rate is going to look like when you need this money. So would you be more comfortable knowing exactly how much money you're going to have, and you know exactly how much you need to take because it's not taxable in the first place? Would that be beneficial to you? And let them answer. So we'll add tax-free. So we've talked about your 401k, your IRA. If they had a Roth, we talked about that. And your mutual fund, if they had one. I don't think this client did, but we've talked about all of these assets, and we've talked about the fact that they're all market-based and that the market goes up and it goes down, and we're never really sure when it's going to do that or how much it's going to do that. And bear with me 1 second. And we're not sure when it's going to do that or how much it's going to do that. And that lack of certainty is uncomfortable, right? So would having an account that is guaranteed to grow at a predictable rate be beneficial to you? Yes? Okay, great. So now we're going to add, if I can find my mouse, we're going to add guaranteed to our list. So, okay, right now for our stress test, we have FAFSA-free, liquid, penalty-free, tax-free, and guaranteed as what we are trying to compare all of these financial vehicles against to see if they have these qualities. Are there any other qualities, Mom and Dad, that you would like your bank to have? And I've actually never had anybody come up with anything. So, okay, great. So while we're thinking about this, how important is it that our bank be FAFSA free? And we're going to go through all of these, let them answer. And, if a lot of people will hem and haw and be like, oh, I have to prioritize these. It's okay for you to tell them, like, if you could have anything you want, you don't have to pick between these. You don't have to rank them. You can have it, this is your stress test. How important is it to you? So a lot of people will try to rank these. They'll try to make something a little bit less important, but they can actually just say 100 for all of them. If they are designing a product of their own, they can have everything, right? That's what we want them to understand. So, okay, great. So we've got 100% that it has to be FAFSA free, it has to be liquid, it has to be penalty free, it has to be tax free, and it has to be guaranteed for any of these financial products to be used for your bank. So basically, the financial products that we have available to us in society now are qualified funds, cash value life insurance, Roth accounts, annuities, stocks and bonds, college savings accounts, which are also known as 529 plans, mutual funds, and bank accounts. Can anybody think of anything else other than these that we haven't talked about? And let them answer. And the two answers that I seem to get, one is real estate, the other is crypto. So crypto, I'm just going to tell them, is we would put that in the same category as stocks and bonds, but real estate, that's a fair point. We can talk to that. And we'll go over all of that when when we go through this chart. So, okay. So mom and dad, are qualified funds FAFSA free? And we're going to nod our head and click the button and then wait for them to answer. The important thing is that we're giving them the answer, but they're still participating in this. So we want them to say yes or no. So, are qualified funds liquid? No, they're not. Are they penalty free? No, they're not. Are they tax free? No, they're not. Are they guaranteed? No, they're not. So I usually just do the nod or shake my head thing and always let them answer. So we'll go through this for every single asset going across, but just for the sake of time, I'm just going to check these off. A couple of things I would like to point out. A Roth is not tax-free. Why is it not tax-free? Anybody? Okay, a Roth is not tax-free because the gains on it have not been taxed. And now you're going to tell me that the whole point of a Roth is that it is tax-free, including the growth. That is a very fair point, but that is only true if you are 59.5 or greater when you pull that out. If you are less than 59.5, any of that growth can be taxed and penalized at 10%. So if it is not always true, we have to say that it is not true. Therefore, a Roth is not tax-free. So does that make sense to people? If we have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. So annuities. Annuities are FAFSA free. They are not liquid. They are not penalty free if they are still under contract. They are not tax free depending on what money went into them. So if it is qualified money or straight cash that went into them, qualified money is always taxable. We know this. And if it was straight cash that went into them, any growth will be taxable when they start taking income from it or any disbursement whatsoever. So again, if it's not always true, we have to say it's not. And yes, annuities are guaranteed because annuities have a floor built right into them. So you cannot get below this, which is generally 0, but you're guaranteed to not lose money. So stocks and bonds are not FAFSA free. They are liquid because you can sell them pretty quickly. They are penalty free. They are not tax free and they are not guaranteed. College savings accounts are my personal favorite to go through on this chart because everybody feels that they're supposed to have a 529 to be saving for their kid to go to college, but they are visible to FAFSA. They are not liquid. They're not penalty free. If you use a 529 for any non-qualifying expense, you get hit with penalties and taxes. So they're really not very flexible at all, and they're not guaranteed because they're still market-based. So why on earth is the federal government telling us that we should have a 529 college savings plan to prepare for our children to go to college? And by the way, if your child does not use these funds to go to college, maybe they get to the end of high school and say, actually, I'm going to join the Navy. You've saved all this money. You can't even roll it over to a different type of qualified account without penalty. So, but this is where the feds are telling us to save for our kids to go to college. So mutual funds, they are not FAFSA free. They are liquid. They are penalty free. They are not tax free, and they are certainly not guaranteed. Bank accounts are not FAFSA free. If you have money in the bank, FAFSA can see it and they will penalize you for it. They are liquid. They are penalty free unless it's a CD. And they are not tax free, even though you're making such minimal amounts of growth that it almost doesn't matter, but it is not technically tax-free. And they are guaranteed up to $250,000. The FDIC guarantees money in bank accounts. So we also said that we would talk about real estate. So real estate is not FAFSA free. Anything that is not your primary mortgage is entirely available to FAFSA to be penalized. It's not liquid because you would need to refinance to get the equity out. It is penalty free. You can sell a house or refinance a house without any penalties from the federal government. It is not tax-free. Any of the growth above what you purchased the house for would be taxable for capital gains, and it's not guaranteed because it's still in the market. So now we've gone through all of this. I would usually go through it just individually, slow with a client, without all of the embellishments, but just for you guys' edification, we've done a little bit more chatting. So now, Mom and Dad, now that we have gone through all of these different vehicles and put them through your stress test, thinking about this one-time contribution of $1,800, which normally if it's 1,800 bucks, I'm just going to put it back into their savings. You know, if it's more like 10,000, yeah, we'll do that. But so thinking about this one-time contribution and your annual contribution of 31,000, are we going to talk further about bank accounts to build your bank with? No? Okay. And because they asked me about real estate, I would ask them about real estate. So for this bank, are we going to talk further about mutual funds? No? Okay. Are we going to talk further about college savings accounts? No? Okay. What about stocks and bonds? Nope. What about annuities? Are we going to talk further about annuities? And they're going to tell me no. And I said, well, thinking about this bank, yeah, no, it doesn't pass your stress test. But remember how we talked about your IRA that you still have sitting out there? One thing that we can do for it is make sure it's guaranteed. So we'll circle back to this when we talk about that. But for right now, we're going to hide it. What about Roths? Thinking about our bank, are we going to talk about Roths? No. Cash value life insurance. Are we, thinking about our bank, are we going to talk further about cash value life insurance? Yes. Okay, great. What about qualified funds? Are we going to look at building your bank using qualified funds? No. Okay, great. So, Mom and Dad, we've just put all of these different financial vehicles through the stress test that you created. So why is it that the only vehicle that passed your stress test is the only one you don't have? And let them answer that. A couple of different answers that I get. I have no idea what cash value life insurance is. Okay, we'll talk about that. Or, why does nobody know this? Nobody told me to do this. Those are usually the two avenues that people go, well, why have I never heard of this before? I don't know anything about it. Oh, I've heard bad things about cash value life insurance, and that's why we didn't do it. Okay, well, let's talk about that. And at that point is a great time to go through any of their objections. So first of all, Mom and Dad, do we know what cash value life insurance is? What do we know about it? And where is my book? I often at this point hold up a book, or I will just give them a copy if I'm sitting in the same room with them. Money Wealth Life Insurance by Jake Thompson is a great resource. And by the way, it is in the back office of the software. I highly recommend that you guys subscribe to the software if you're not already, because we do have a lot of resources readily available for you. And Money Wealth Life Insurance, it gives a great overview of how cash value life insurance works and how it's practical in terms of building a bank. For example, have you ever heard of Disneyland? Everybody's heard of Disneyland. Everybody will say, yes, of course, I know Disneyland. Okay, great. Well, if there was no such thing as cash value life insurance, or if Walt and Roy Disney had never heard of cash value life insurance, you never would have heard of Disneyland because they couldn't get financing for it. They self-financed. Have you ever heard of Pampered Chef or Stanford University or McDonald's? Again, none of these companies would exist without cash value life insurance. So that being said, we're going to give them the book and have them read it. And also going through any objections at this point, which we may or may not have time to go through some of the objections that we hear commonly today. So also, we're going to be able to send them this link, which I'll open for you so you guys can see it. And it will have all of your information on it, and it will give them an overview of everything that you've shown them already. So our life wheel, our budget, how much money do we need to save for retire? This is what our solve items are. This is how we built their bank to start with. This is everything that's going on in their financial life. And this is, after we've paid for the kids to go to college, how is this going to play out over the next 20 years? And the let's test vehicles. So, oh, we did refinance the house. Okay. And this chart down here, I absolutely love this because this is something that you can go through with a client or just give it to them so that they have it to show them, what are we putting into this account? What do we know we need to take out of this account? How much have we taken out total from this account? What are our year-end balances inside this account? What do we have in qualified money based on what we have today? And our mortgage schedule balance. I really, really love the mortgage schedule balance because based on however we refinance the house, this is going to show us what it is going to take to pay off the house. So if in 2034, it's going to cost us $347 because this is their mortgage schedule. So $348 to pay off the house in full. We've got $470,000 in cash inside that account. Could we pay it off at that point? Yes, we could. We could definitely do that. So this is a great tool to show people to just go through, because a lot of people, especially at today's mortgage rates, are going to balk at refinancing. And I would also like to say, I know we talked about this last week, but I would just like to reiterate that a refinance is not right for every single client. There will be clients that you shouldn't necessarily refinance for. If they don't have a lot of equity, it's probably not worth refinancing unless you can drop their payment. If you can drop their payment more than $250 a month, it might be worth refinancing because that gives them more cash flow. But you're not necessarily pulling equity out of the house. Or if they have a significant amount of debt, that they do have equity, they do have a lot of debt, and they don't have cash assets to pay off those debts. Even a 7% refinance is still a whole lot less than a 22% credit card fee, or interest rate rather. So yeah, refinancing and getting rid of all of those may very well be to the client's benefit because it increases their cash flow. And when they have a significant amount of debt, even when refinancing that mortgage increases their actual payment, it still might be to their benefit to refinance the house. Because if they're paying, $1,000 a month on 4 or 5 different debts versus paying an additional $400 to one debt being their house, they still have $600 per month of positive cash flow that they can be using toward their financial goals. So it's a little bit more comfortable and flexible in their budget. Does that make sense? We've got some people. Okay. So we just had a couple of people join. So, and I apologize. We had some technical difficulties today. Apparently the email did not go out as scheduled. So I sincerely apologize for that. So if anybody needs the recording for this that has just jumped on, or anybody who has been here the whole time and would just like to see it again, please feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat and I would be happy to send you the link. Krhodes@ican. iCanFinancial.com. Okay, so I've just put my email in the chat. So I wanted to talk for a quick minute because I don't think I have enough time to go over the spending piece today, not and do it justice. But I would like to talk about any objections that people get commonly, or anything that they find is a stumbling block, that is an obstacle, that they are not entirely sure how to overcome that. So now is a great time for class participation. Anybody? Has anybody been sitting with a client and had them ask a question that they were not prepared to answer? Okay. One that I have gotten quite a few times is whole life insurance. Isn't that expensive? So, okay, you've heard that whole life insurance is expensive. Who told you that whole life insurance was expensive? And they'll say that they heard it from a neighbor, they heard it from Dave Ramsey. Okay, great. So what specifically did Dave Ramsey say about whole life insurance? And sometimes they know, and sometimes they don't. What the common one that I hear is, oh, well, Dave Ramsey says that whole life insurance is bad. Okay, so specifically, Dave Ramsey says that whole life insurance is evil. He specifically said that it's evil. Do you know why whole life insurance is evil? Let them answer. And oftentimes they have no idea. So according to Dave Ramsey, whole life insurance is evil because it only guarantees you to make 6% a year. Dave Ramsey thinks that whole life insurance is evil because it only guarantees that you will make 6% every year. Let me ask you a question. Would the two of you be upset if you were making a guaranteed 6% every single year? I've never had a single person tell me yes. Everyone always says no. They'd be thrilled to get 6% every single year. Okay. But that's why Dave Ramsey says it's evil. But Dave Ramsey also wrote his book, and just for your edification, you do not need to spit this much information on every single client. Dave Ramsey wrote his book in 1991 when a monkey with a dartboard could make money in the market. And they tried this. They literally had a chimpanzee take darts and throw darts at a board, and whatever stocks the darts hit were what they invested in. The monkey made money. Can you do that now? No. We have to be very, very particular and on top of things with every single investment that we make. So now let me ask you something. Is anybody on this call an investment expert? Anybody?
No.
No. Okay. Does anybody on this call have a 401k, or has anyone on this call ever had a 401k?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of us have. So when you get a 401k, do they like send you to a class to pick to, is there anybody who to help you with picking what funds you want your 401k to go into? Do they educate you at all on that?
No.
No. So all of a sudden we get a job, we get a 401k, and now we have to be an investment expert too. People spend 4 to 8 years in college to learn whatever their skill is, and 99% of them, even more than that really, are not investment bankers. But now we have to be an investment banker too, just to plan for our own financial futures. And Dave Ramsey says that a sure bet is evil.
Mhm.
Okay. So I saw a guy yesterday who lost $700,000 investing in Ethereum. Then he said whole life, I'm assuming, is expensive.
Wow.
Okay. So I don't have time today, but either next week or the week after, because I have had requests for certain trainings. So I want to prove to you guys that whole life insurance, the way we do it, the special build, does not have a cost. Does anybody know how I can say that whole life, the way we build, does not have a cost? Yeah, I know the feeling, Tim. Anybody?
Well, you have offsets of the interest. Money's always making interest.
So the reason I can say that whole life insurance does not have a cost the way we build it is simply because of the definition of cost. Does anybody know what the difference between a cost and an investment is? This one is actually very important, and it's a little fun fact for you guys. So an investment has a return. An investment is something that you put money into it up front, but over time it will gain in value. Something that has a cost is something that doesn't have an increasing return. So for example, a car has some sort of return, but it's not financial because it's something that is constantly depreciating. So it has its use, it has its return because it's a commodity that you need to do things in your day-to-day life. But it is not an investment. You're not investing in a car that you're going to use every single day. That has a cost. It is costing you money to run that car, which is why when we're talking about budget, we talk about the cost of things. But when we're talking about retirement, we're talking about investing. And that's the difference. So when you have a term policy that is cheap, is it?
No.
Because really what we're talking about is cost. How much does a term policy cost? So yeah, the cost of a term policy might only be, 20, depending on the age and health of the client, might only be $25,000 for a 20 or 30-year policy for the life of that policy. But if you live one day past the term, what do you have?
Cost.
You have cost. You
Yeah.
have cost because you have nothing. You have nothing to show for that $25,000 that you put into it. But if you put $100,000, which is 4 times the same cost of that term life, if you put $100,000 into a whole life product, the way I have in the past showed you guys how to design these, and I will show you again, how much did it cost for that same death benefit?
Zero,
Why?
because you still have it. It's you got, what is it called? The death benefit you got, and you have and you also have what's the other column?
Cash value.
Cash value. Yeah.
It's twofold. So
Mhm.
at 10 years, the way I like to build products, and I will show you guys again, the investment input, which is the premium input, at 10 years, you will have at least that much cash value inside the policy. And when I say cash value, that is a leverageable asset that you can use for whatever it is you need to do. No questions asked. And you still have the death benefit. So the death benefit becomes a fringe benefit. And by the way, you cannot outlive it. It is a whole life product because it goes through for your whole life. So you have that death benefit, you have the cash value, the death benefit becomes a fringe benefit. Therefore, the initial investment is just that. It is an investment, but it has cost you nothing.
Yep,
Does that make sense?
sweet deal.
Okay, so yes, a cost cannot gain value. You have zero. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions? Because we're coming short on time. I know we got started a little late and we had some confusion. So I definitely I'm here for a little bit if you guys have questions. And anybody who needs the recording, please feel free to email me and I will be more than happy to send it to you. Yeah, you can't cure stupid. That is true. You absolutely cannot cure stupid. Thank you, Ron White, for having said that. But we also have our fearless leader on today who wanted to say a couple things fairly quickly. So if there are no further questions, if anything comes up, please feel free to email me. I feel very badly about the confusion today.
Kendra, quick question.
Yep.
In regards to the illustration that you have, I guess it's still on the screen here. Do you have to, does it come if you don't refinance the mortgage? The same illustration it was, showing.
If you don't refinance their house, this column would not exist.
Okay, but all the other columns you still have.
Everything else would still be available. Yes.
You have to do the premium. Does it work both on the premium and what's the other one?
So you've got the annual contribution, the the annual family withdrawals, the cumulative withdrawals, and how much is in the bank at the end of the year.
Right.
Based on the inputs.
Right. Okay.
So it's basically if A, if B, then C.
Yeah. So anyway you work it, you always have this illustration at the end of the.
Yeah. Step 6 will always give you the option to generate a PDF that you can send to the client that is entirely based on everything that you have talked about. It's always personalized. Cool. So if you haven't refinanced their house, their mortgage schedule balance will not be in it, but not everybody has a house.
Right.
So that wouldn't be relevant to that client. So why would you show it? Right. So, but that is something that it's a very useful tool. But with that, if anybody has any further questions, please feel free to email me and I will be very happy to help you. But Ray, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Kendra. And real quick, I want to apologize for the inconvenience because the emails didn't go out and the text messages for this call did not go out. Had a phone call actually from the text messaging company saying that they didn't go out. And so it's nice enough for them to let me know they didn't go out. I already knew that they didn't go out, but it's kind of beyond our control. So sometimes things happen. So we didn't get the turnout that we were expecting to be on this call, but nonetheless, this call was very, very great. And all these calls are always being recorded. So so we can send out the link only to the people that want information. I mean, I don't want to send out to the black, because I want everybody to, want this information. So we can send out multiple different ways. But this, if anybody needs it or wants it, we can send out this link for this recording. And so I apologize for that. That's 1000% on me, not on Kendra or Kathy. It's on Ray McDonald. So, but we'll get it corrected next time. Second thing, guys, is real quick. I think Kendra did a phenomenal job explaining things. She does a great job every Thursday explaining the software and how the software works. And I know that a lot of people, who come on these calls, and I'll probably come on the call again next week as well, just because of what today's issues. But the important thing is regarding the software is that it's important for everybody on the call to have the software for themselves, because, you come here and we get a week of, 1 week, we get 1 hour a week of training that Kendra does with the software, which is fantastic and awesome. But the best training you're going to have is actually you being on the software and you running cases on yourself, on your spouse, on your friends, or real life cases. So you could literally, that's the best training that you're going to have. So for example, yesterday on Wednesday's call, Kendra was talking about how she'd been had been baptized by fire, a lot of ways because she had to kind of learn the hard way and kind of walk through. And frankly, and honestly, that's the best way for you to learn is to actually go through the process. So for those of you guys who don't have the software yet, I encourage you to get the software so you can play with it. You can have access to it so you can, because these trainings are phenomenal. They are, but 1 hour a week is not going to cut it for you. You know what I mean? So you need to take what Kendra is telling you and then digest it and then play on the software yourself on your free time and go through it and run some of these cases. You know, they're fake cases, they're faux cases, but run some faux cases, run them. And that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to get the confidence. That's how you're going to get skill set and all that stuff. Don't wait until, oh my God, I got to get a client, and get a client, then you get the software, and then you're like, oh no, what do I do? Right? Oh no, what do I do? But you can limit that by actually being on the software, getting on the software, and utilizing that way. So I encourage you guys to go to lp360.com, get the software, make that happen if you don't have it. And if you had it before and you don't have it, you definitely need to get back on it and get the software, because why, if you don't have it, then why are we here? Frankly, right? And so we can make that happen. And so with that, cut that part short. The last thing I want to say is you guys don't forget about the ICANN regional event that's happening in Southern California in October 22nd. It's a regional event. People are coming in from all over the country. We'll be there. So if you need information on that as well, we'll send out a link for that as well. Or you go to the ICANN Facebook page, go to the ICANN Facebook page, and you can see the link for the registration for the ICANN regional event in October. Big things happen at big events, guys. So and there'll be some major announcements. And I promise you I will not be in a baseball cap. Who knows? I might. But with that being said, guys, get the software. Bottom line, get the software. This is why we're here. This is what we're getting you trained on. So it only makes sense for you to have the software so you can really learn and capitalize on everything that's being taught to you here. That being said, thank you. And I apologize again to Kendra. Sorry for the communication mix up. And we'll get it right.
Email me if you need the replay. I put my email in the chat a couple of times. So, or if you have any other questions, again, we sincerely apologize for the confusion and the delay. So yeah, please reach out to me anytime if you have questions, comments, concerns, need help with a build. And I was planning on giving homework today, but you guys get a free pass because of the confusion, and I will give you guys an assignment next week. So yep, with that, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and have a great weekend, guys.
And for those of you guys real quick who is Ismail and Molly, if you guys want to catch the replay of this, send Kendra an email at Kendra Rhodes.
Nope, K Rhodes.
And at icanfinancial.com. And then she will send you the link for this training. So Molly and Ismail, hi Molly, good to see you.
I came late, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, it's my fault. The communication went out late, communication. And I was going to take ownership of it, but I see Ismail here now, so I'll blame it on Ismail.
It's okay, Ray. I'll take the blame.
But so Ismail, Molly, or whoever else wants to see this replay again, please send Kendra an email at K-Rhodes at
Thank you.
at icanfinancial.com and get it going. Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.